Hi, Jeremy here with MathomBooks. I've got a great discussion for you guys today. Before I start that, and this is an awesome segue as well, Aaron, who you guys know, he started off MathomBooks with me. He's been extremely busy because he's going away to college. Well, he actually just got engaged as well to his girlfriend of more than 4 years. So congratulations, Aaron and Destiny. That's super exciting news, and it does segue well into what we're talking about today in this discussion. Hope you guys are in the mood for a good one. Here goes. We all know that when it comes to waiting and teenagers, it doesn't seem to mix very well, does it? Right? It's one reason why those that advocate, abstinence before marriage, it's a very tough thing. They're kind of acknowledging, look, I know it's not your normal, situation that you'd want to wait, but you should, right? Well, if you've read a book like Twilight or Breaking Dawn, of course, you know that waiting is difficult, right? Bella certainly struggled with that. Some people have said this entire series is kind of a analogy for, waiting till you get married. And I think it does bring out a very interesting point. It's not easy to wait, and we are waiting longer than ever. Because in the 1950s, the average age of marriage was about 20. Nowadays, the average age of marriage for a female is 25, and the average age of marriage for a male is 27. So that's a whole extra 5 years, in some cases 7 years, that we're having to wait, and it makes it that much more difficult. Read this fantastic book. It's a collection of essays and articles by the brilliant author Frederica Mathewes-Green. Those of you that do not know her, she is a very successful, she's an NPR broadcaster, she's an author. She reviews books for the Los Angeles Times. She's just an extremely active and vital voice out there for women. She is definitely a woman that I have a lot of respect for, and I highly recommend this book. It is her Selected Writings, Volume 1, and it's on the issues of gender. And let me read off some of the titles of some of these articles just to give you a sense for what you might be interested in reading about. Born This Way, Lady Gaga fans? Flowers for the Fellas, sounds fun. The Women of Disney, Feminism's Next Generation, and listen to this title, Let's Have More Teen Pregnancy. Right here. Let's Have More Teen Pregnancy. This is a fascinating article, and I want to see what you guys think about this. So the first thing that Frederica Mathewes-Green points out is that teen pregnancy is not the problem per se, because she points to history and she says, look, you go back throughout the entire history, not just the history of this country, but history in general. People were getting married and having babies in their teens, right? Look at your family trees, as she points out. She says you're going to see tons of teen marriages and births. It simply is the way it's been. She points to the physical elements. She says an 18-year-old girl is pretty much ideally capable of having a baby. And she says, of course, we know teenage boys are certainly capable of doing their part as well, right, as far as the physical element is concerned. And so she says the first thing you want to look at is teen pregnancy in and of itself, at least biologically speaking, is not a bad thing. So her second point is this, and this is fascinating. She says it's not that young people are inherently incapable of responsibility. She says history disproves that, but that we no longer expect teenagers to be responsible. And so she points to this idea of being a teenager used to be training for being an adult. And she says nowadays it's like just playtime, have fun, be wild, do whatever you want, right? YOLO, right? It's this notion that teenagers now are free to do whatever they want, no responsibility, live it up while you can. And that used to not be the way it was. It used to be, again, when you were a teenager, you were helping around the house, you were helping, with chores, you were getting more and more responsibility day after day after day. You were probably helping raise your fellow, siblings, things like that. So the idea of what teenagers are responsible for and what is expected of teenagers has changed a lot. And I'm really curious, what do you guys think about that? Is that true? Is that really happening? It's odd that kids thought to be too irresponsible for marriage are expected instead to practice heroic abstinence or diligent contraception. So moving on to Frederica Mathewes-Green, third point, and that's this. She says, well, you might be saying to yourself, yeah, but wouldn't younger marriages result in more divorce? And she says it's actually exactly the opposite. But don't young marriages end in divorce? If we communicate to young people that we think they're inherently incompetent, that will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. But it was not always the case. In fact, in the days when people married younger, divorce was much rarer. During the last half of the 20th century, as brides' ages rose from 20 to 25, the divorce rate has doubled. Now, this, I think, you guys, is the most interesting element of this entire article. She makes the claim that a pattern of late marriage may actually increase the rate of divorce. She says, during that initial decade of physical adulthood, young people may not be getting married, she says, but they're still falling in love. They fall in love and break up and undergo terrible pain, but find that with time they get over it, and then they do this again and again and again. Gradually they get used to it. They learn that they can give their hearts away and then take them back again. They learn to shield their hearts from access in the first place. They learn to approach a relationship with the goal of getting what they want and keep their bags packed at the door. By the time they marry, they may have had many opportunities to learn how to walk away from a promise. They have been training for divorce. Fascinating perspective. They've been training for divorce. All these falling in love, breaking up, it hardens us, it creates walls. What do you guys think about that? I want to get your thoughts on this. I'm very interested in discussing this issue with you guys. Do you think that the fact that we're having our teenagers run around and just have fun and we're expecting them to get married later on in life, that they are in a sense being trained to get a divorce? What do you guys think about that? Don't oversimplify it either. Try to really hear what she's saying. I know I'm not doing the greatest job in the world of making her argument, but I want you to try to hear me out. What do you think about this? Is this a possibility? Is the problem teenage pregnancy, or is it in fact, is the real problem unwed pregnancy? Is it, in other words, if we were getting married even in our teen years, 17, 18, 19, would that be so bad, right? Bella marries Edward and she's only 18. Was it a bad thing? We look at it as a beautiful thing. What do you guys think? Frederica Mathewes-Green final point is this. And she says that, look, I'm not saying that, this is easy and, of course it's kind of scary to kind of picture two 18-year-olds getting married and we're saying, hey, go have fun, right? This is how it's supposed to be. She says, we need a community. You need family support, something that quite frankly is lacking in society today. How do you think YA literature handles the issue of teen pregnancy? I think it's a very interesting thing. Certainly, looking at what happens with Bella in Breaking Dawn, you remember when they were first getting married, Jessica totally thought that it's because Bella was pregnant, but she wasn't, right? What do you guys think? I'm reminded also in Wither, how the main character, I forget her name right now, has to get married to this guy, but she doesn't even have sex with him, even when they're married, right? And I think that's an interesting issue. Why is it? What is YA literature concerned with? What's the perspective of YA literature? Is there one perspective? Are there many perspectives? What do you guys think? Can't wait for your comments. Thank you so much for watching.